Hello and welcome to the Spooky House of Spooky podcast of today. That's right, everybody. There's two things we always do on this channel, and this is one of them. We always do Quakemas, and we always do a Halloween recommendations.
And we always sometimes not do them timely.
Yeah.
Or something.
Hey, we'll see.
Yeah. But anyway, the spooky season has arrived again, and what better to do than to recommend some of our, well, maybe not necessarily favorite media related to the season, but, I don't know, stuff we think is kind of interesting, and we kind of want to talk about it a little bit and recommend it to you.
Half the fun of Halloween season is just going and diving into quote-unquote Halloween-like stuff.
Yeah.
So we're just going to say a bunch of things that we recommend that you check out if you want to get into that holiday mood.
Yep. And kind of, as usual, our recommendations from past years still apply, so go check those videos out. Probably be making them into a playlist or something since we have so many of them now. We also have like last minute recommendations we throw on the end of our Halloween specials. I timestamped those, or I think I timestamped most of them now. So you can just skip to the end if you want and pick those up if you really don't feel like watching the rest of the video. But watch the whole video too, because we usually, I don't know, our specials are usually fun.
Yeah. The Halloween specials are usually some of the better videos on this channel.
Yeah, we'll kind of talk about that later in case this is your first time. What we usually try to do for those. But anyway, let's get right into it. Starting off with movies and TV shows.
All right. I'm going to take the lead. I'm going to go first.
Alrighty.
And this is a new thing that I discovered this year, and it's a low-budget Netflix horror movie called The Boy. From that premise alone, it sounds terrible, but you got to trust me. It's actually pretty good. So the premise of it, takes place somewhere in England, I assume. Old, creepy Gothic house, creepy old couple. They want to go on vacation, so they hire this lady who is trying to escape her abusive husband to babysit their kid. But their kid is just a weird, creepy little puppet. And this is definitely one of those movies where the less that's said is better. But if you like a slow burn movie that takes place in an old, creepy house that you literally don't know what's going to happen next, it's a good one, because you're like, is she going crazy? Is the puppet alive? Is there a ghost? What's going on? Is there murderers outside? It's a good one. It's fun. Like, you can sit down with a few people. It's a good one to watch.
Yeah.
It kind of reminds me of some of those like old European horror movies, like the old ones that just take place in just an old creepy Gothic house. It's kind of like that. So, not completely a Halloween type thing, but it is a horror movie, and it's got a creepy house, and that's all you need.
Yeah, I think they advertised that pretty heavily, or I remember seeing it, like, it came out on, like, home video, right?
Yeah, this one had no theater release.
Yeah, I remember seeing it and first thinking that it might have been, like, a stop-motion movie, which would have been creepy, too, but yeah, it's got, like, the doll boy on the cover.
Yeah, like, it looks like one of those stupid, cheap, straight-to-DVD horror movies, and I guess technically it is, but it's good. Now, there's a sequel, which I have not watched, and I assume it's terrible, just based off the Netflix description, but I haven't watched it, and it might be good. This one, I think, is good. I think it's an easy recommend.
Alrighty, speaking of straight-to-DVD, or I guess in Netflix's case, no, screw Netflix, never mind. Speaking of straight-to-home video movies, the movie I'm going to recommend is Hellbound, starring Chuck Norris. Now,
you had me confused. I was like, Hellbound, like Hellraiser?
No, it is not related to
I was like, I don't think Chuck Norris is in Hellraiser.
No, that would be badass. But this kind of probably describes how it would play out if he was in it. So maybe you can kind of think of it that way, and it'd be funny.
We have such sights to show you.
Some of you may be familiar with Canon Films and their like typical fare of what they released. This is the last movie they ever did, I think.
Huh.
It was filmed in 1992, but didn't come out until like 1994.
Okay, so yeah, that would be the tail end of that studio.
So they might have sat on it for a bit before they released it. But anyway, premise of the story is an evil satanic being known as Pro-Satanos is trying to open the gates of hell on Earth and let, I don't know, demons come out or something. And he gets sealed away in the 12th century. But then he gets unsealed in I don't know, 1951. Just dicking around a bit to the 90s. And it's up to Chuck Norris to come and seal his ass back. And how does Chuck Norris combat Satan's minister on Earth? Well, obviously by kicking the shit out of him. How else is he going to do it? Yep.
I can't believe I've never heard of this. The one I said, it makes sense if you haven't heard of that one. But this one,
Yeah. So like I said, it is a Canon Films movie. It is straight to video. It's about as good as that can be, but it is still a very, very awesome film. I only paid I don't know, $3.33 for it. I got in a 3-pack, $10. 2 other Chuck Norris films, which I think all of them are Canon films. Maybe I'll talk about those at the end of the year. But yeah, it is. Yeah, I think that's one of his few supernatural films that he did. So it's a fun ride. I don't know what it's on other than probably picking it up for a buck or two in a bargain bin at Walmart. I wouldn't
be surprised if it's on Prime or something.
Yeah,
it's got to be on one of those really cheap obscure streaming services.
But yeah, it's underacted in places. It's overacted in places. It's like I said, it's as good as it can be.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. But yeah, it certainly is fun. Alrighty.
All right. So my next recommendation, this is actually one I've had on the back burner for a very long time. I think I meant to say this during the past two, and I just, for some reason, it just never happened.
It always happens.
Yeah. I literally had this one written down on my list from last year. But it is M. Night Shyamalan's movie, The Village. Now I can hear everybody booing right now. Shut up.
Boo.
Yeah. I personally like this movie. Again, it's not completely a Halloween movie, but it takes place in the woods during the fall, and there's, creepy monsters, and there's twists and stuff. The thing is with this movie you have to understand, is I think why most people hate it, is that it starts out like a horror movie, and then it kind of devolves into a romance movie. I kind of like how I said devolves. This is a dude podcast.
Jeez.
So, it's not horror the whole time, but I still think it's a fun movie. It's got a really good atmosphere. It's got really good actors, too. It's got Sigourney Weaver. It's got Bryce Dallas Howard.
Who's that?
She's the lady from Jurassic World, but she's better in this than she is in Jurassic World.
That's the ginger lady?
Yeah, the ginger lady.
Okay.
Everyone is better outside of Jurassic World.
Vincent D'Onofrio.
Yeah, holy cow. Oh, jeez.
I don't mean to distract you.
It's got Joaquin Phoenix in it, the lesser of the two Phoenixes, but he still does a decent job. So I think it's a fun one you can put on during the holiday. I would say, I think the twist is kind of obvious. I think they're a little too up in your face about it. They're it gets hinted at too much. I'm not going to spoil it, but it's not that cool of a twist either. But, again, the monsters look cool, fun environment, fun premise.
All right.
I want to say Jeff Bridges is in it, but I think I'm wrong. I think it's some guy who I thought was Jeff Bridges, because I seem to recall looking on IMDb and being surprised. But
there's some guy with a square head that I think is
there's some guy with a square head, not much hair, and a beard.
Okay, I don't remember the beard.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm thinking of a different movie.
Yeah.
That I thought was in it. But yeah, I remember seeing a preview for it and not knowing what it was. It's that looks like something I don't want to watch because I'm 5 or 6 years old. I don't know. I don't remember when this came out. Okay. Is that all you have to say about The Village?
Yep, I think so.
All right. So this next recommendation is going to seem kind of weird because we have lobbed countless and very well deserved Molotovs at this franchise, mainly at its fan base because you've seen what they are, and that is Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets.
Okay, I was wondering where this was going.
Really, all I have to say about it is it's the only film in the series that kind of comes across as like almost like a horror film in a way. Like some of
Yeah.
them kind of do. I mean, like a lot of them are darkish, but
Yeah.
this is the one that first really felt like that for me. Like especially reading the book.
Yeah, I can definitely agree with that. And the first two movies, sort of the third one, they have such a good atmosphere. I know I've said that about
Yeah.
the previous movie, but like the later ones are just like too like gray and stuff. Like they just turn the
Yeah.
colors all the way off. And the first movies are really colorful. Like
Yeah.
the castle, you got the fire, like
Yeah, the first two films in particular have like a really weird feel to them that the next ones don't have, and it's not that like the third one or any of the others are bad. It's just that
Yeah.
they lost something. I mean, that's probably due to the change in director. But anyway, yeah, I think the second one's my favorite. It has a like non-conventional antagonist. It's like an intangible one almost.
and like you've got the big snake, which is awesome.
Yeah.
You've got the big spider, which is even cooler.
Yes.
Like the first two movies, I like the third one a lot too. It's been a long time since I've watched them, but the first three are definitely my top three, and they're just a lot more fun when they're little kids. That's what I think.
Yeah.
Like,
That sounds
when
weird.
the magic is still when the magic is still cool
It seems
to them,
like early on, there's a lot more mystery to the universe. That's what it is. And
Yeah.
it's not as explained
like
as
you get
much.
to the last one and Harry Potter's like, oh, what's the Deathly Hallows? It's like, what have you been doing? You've been at this school for like 7 years now.
This is the fourth book. We're going to learn about the curse that killed your parents. Finally.
Is it because J.K. Rowling didn't know? Probably.
I don't know.
We're not going to talk about her.
Jeez.
Too much has been said.
Yeah, but anyway, so this is actually a threefold recommendation. I wouldn't recommend just the film, but also the book, which is surprisingly short. You could probably read it in a week. Cause
I read it.
It's a kid's book.
And I don't read any books.
Yeah, it's a kid's book. It was back before they kind of it's before the series really delved into like the phone book fantasy and like just became like absurdly long.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's a surprisingly quick read, and it's actually the movie is very, very close to the book too.
The only thing I think that's cut from the book is I seem to recall Nearly Headless Nick has a birthday party that wasn't in the
That's
movie.
right. Okay,
Yeah.
I couldn't remember if that was in
And
the
that was
first
that
one
was
or
a
not.
pretty cool thing too. Like
Yeah.
credit where credit's due. Like I really liked because one of the parts in that is that the ghost obviously they can't eat food, but what they'll do is they'll just hover above like rotting food, and that's like the only way they can gain like any sense of flavor of anything. Like
Yeah.
just little things like that are just fun,
Yeah. But yeah,
and it's creepy too. Like
yeah, it is. Like yeah, the book definitely creeped me out. I mean, the last time I read it, I think I was like 10 or 11, but
Yeah.
still, like it still had that effect on me, even though I had seen the movie beforehand. And then the third recommendation is the video game, specifically
Huh.
the console game for I think PlayStation 2, Xbox, and GameCube. It kind of plays out like almost like a Legend of Zelda game, like that type of like adventure game from that period. Of course, you're playing as Harry Potter. You got spells, and weirdly enough, I think it is supposed to be a movie tie-in game, but it has like scenes and dialogue from the book, which is kind of interesting. But of course, like it also leaves like weird things out. Like I don't remember if Dobby's in it or not. I can't recall, but yeah, it's still fun. I can't really recommend any of the other like games that came out on like the handhelds or PC.
I
Because
know the
think they're
games were
different.
kind of like infamous for being bad, but they were also really popular when we were young. Like,
Yeah, this
and
was
the
the
thing is,
only one.
there's so many of them too. Like, I think
Yeah.
that like the handheld ones were different depending on which handheld you had
Yeah,
and stuff.
well,
like,
I mean that's obvious.
yeah,
That usually
that was
happens.
back in the day. If like a movie came out, there wouldn't be one tie-in game. There'd be like 7. Now they'll just like release a bunch of apps and call it good.
Or they do. I think this one it was for Sorcerer's Stone or Philosopher's Stone, whatever. Like, I think they had like a PC game come out around the time of the movie, but they didn't have anything like on other consoles or something, and then they released it after the Chamber of Secrets game came out, and it was more in like that game's engine. So it's kind of like a retroactive sequel or prequel, whatever. It's kind of funny.
It is funny.
But yeah, like it's a fun game. It's I don't know. I'd probably recommend it on PlayStation 2 since that's what I played it on. But if whatever
you can try an emulator or something.
Yeah. I don't know. All right.
My next one. This is one that should have been said a long time ago, but Scooby-Doo. Scooby-Doo is an all-time classic. Scooby-Doo is kind of one of those things I feel like it's been like... It's kind of like Garfield, where it's almost been killed by oversaturation. Like, if you're bored, like, look up the list of, like, feature-length Scooby-Doo movies. Not, like, live-action ones, even though there's a whole bunch of those, which I didn't know about. But just, like, straight-to-DVD movies. There's, like 70. Like, it's insane. Like, tons. So, this is a franchise that is super oversaturated. But the original, like, run of the cartoon, which was the Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? I still think those ones were the best and they hold up. Like, the gags are, cliched by today's standards, but they're still, pretty funny. Like, Scooby and Shaggy's hijinks is always enjoyable. And what I always liked was how old everything was, and that was probably because it was made in the 60s. But, I don't know, I just always appreciated that. I think it makes it creepier in retrospect. But, like, they had really cool, like, environments with the matte paintings, and the monsters were cool, too. Like, if I had to make some recommendations, which I will, Black Knight, which I think is the first one they ever made. That's a really good one. Captain Redbeard, super funny because there's a part where Scooby and Shaggy have to make a soup, and they're like, what do ghosts like to eat? And they're just putting the worst things they can inside of it. I want to say his name was Captain Cutler, who was the scuba diver, the glowing green scuba diver.
I don't remember what his name was.
That was one of my favorites.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good ones. I know that there's been, like, some newer Scooby-Doo cartoons that are supposed to be good. Like, they actually have, like, a full plot line that goes through them, but I can't speak because I haven't really seen those.
Yeah. The one that I would recommend, or the two I would, there was the one with, like, what was he called? Like, the green specter guy?
Oh, yeah.
And, like, the lighthouse?
Yeah.
Lighthouse building or whatever. That one was pretty good. And then the one where, actually I have two more. There's one where they go to, like, a castle, and, like, the monsters in it are, like, a Frankenstein's monster, a werewolf, and, like, a vampire. Mm-hmm. I forget the name of that one. It's also got, like, a gypsy lady in it, so it's, like, mashing all the classic, like, horror cliches and monsters into one episode. That one's pretty good.
The Spooky Island episode, that was another one that actually used to give me nightmares as a kid, which is funny, because the villain in that is literally just, like, a ghost, like a sheep with two eyes.
Yeah, that one.
But, like, I don't know, I thought that one was creepy. Oh, I guess I should... Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island. There was, like, a trilogy they did when I was a kid. It was, like... I guess it was a quadrilogy. It was Zombie Island, there was one about aliens.
Space Invaders.
Yeah, Space Invaders. The witch one, was it, like, the witches... They go to Salem, Massachusetts. I remember that's where it takes place.
Oh, it has the Witch's Ghost.
Yeah, Witch's Ghost. That has the Hex Girls in it. And then they did the Cyber Ghost or
Chase
something like that. I want to say Cyber Chase, but that's a different cartoon.
Yeah.
The Cyber Chase one was actually pretty cool because they go back to a lot of old Scooby-Doo episodes. Yeah. But, oh yeah, the Tar Monster, that's another good one. There's a lot of good ones.
Yeah.
But the Zombie Island was easily the best out of all of those. I always would get upset during a Scooby-Doo episode if it turned out the monster was real, which for all of those movies I just listed, the monsters were real. I prefer it to be fake. I just think it's more grounded and more interesting. But, like, the zombies were real, man. They, like, ripped off heads and stuff, and it was cool because there's Civil War zombies, which are awesome, and pirate zombies, which is also cool. Like, it was good, and it was creepy, too. Like, I think I saw something where, like, one of the guys that created it were like, yeah, Warner Brothers gave us the go-ahead to just make this, like, as creepy as we want. Like, who cares if it scares kids? It's Scooby-Doo.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's lots of good Scooby-Doo stuff out there. So.
Yep. Yeah, the only other episode I was going to recommend was another vampire one. It's where they're going to visit, like, one of Daphne's friends, like, I think it's on another damned island. Mm-hmm. And they're, like, at a hotel. And, like, oh, what is it? Like there's this weird guy that like collects coffins or something. That's a good one. It has a Scooby Dome in it, like, you know.
Oh yeah, because he has all the cousins.
Yeah, like yeah, I guess he's one of Scooby Doo's cousins. Like I think that might have been an older episode or something, or maybe an later one. I don't recall the whole chronology of Scooby Doo, but yeah, there's definitely some good episodes in there. Probably find.
I remember there was some guy on YouTube who made it his goal to become the ultimate Scooby Doo historian, and he was slowly going through literally everything with Scooby Doo in it, and I think he gave up because it's a lot. There's too much, you know.
It's been around since the 60s. Like Garfield hasn't even been around that long.
No.
Oh, jeez. Okay, so my last film recommendation is. It's not really like a Halloween themed film, but I want to recommend it just for like what it like makes you think of. And that film is The Green Slime from 1968. So do you know anything about this film, Robbie?
It sounds familiar. I think this was one of those movies I always wanted to see as a kid just based off the name.
Yeah.
But that's about as far as it goes.
Yeah. The reason why you probably might be familiar otherwise is because it was made in partnership with Toei, I think.
Okay.
So it does have I think it has some creature like designs and costumes made by Toei. So it was like a Japanese-American thing. So anyway, like the basic premise of the film is that there's this big-ass asteroid that's going to be colliding with Earth, and like they got to go and like destroy it or something. And then like they go back to their like little space station, and there was a piece of slime on one of the guy's spacesuits that went on the thing, and it's turning into monsters. So yeah, so the reason why I recommend it is because it kind of reminds me of like The Thing mixed with Alien, like, and it even has like a tad of like Armageddon and like Hellstar Remina in it. It's kind of it's a mishmash of things, but how I actually found out about it wasn't like from anything related. It wasn't like the movie itself. It's because it has like a very, very awesome theme song, like literally called The Green Slime.
Yeah.
Yep. And kind of like last year, how I said like Rocky Erickson's The Evil One's kind of like a collection of theme songs to sci-fi and horror films that you've never seen. Well, this is one of those songs I was kind of referencing because it's a banger. You should check it out.
That's awesome.
At the very least. Yeah, it's a fun film. The effects in it are hilarious. And, some of the acting too. But, yeah, it's alright. If you want something a little bit lighter, I would suggest going with that.
Sounds good. Alright, this will be my last recommendation. This is another TV show. This is another cartoon. And this one is Gravity Falls, which probably doesn't need that much of an introduction. This is another one that, like, the whole thing takes place over the summer. So, like, you do have that against it. But there is a Halloween episode. It's just Halloween during the summertime, which I think is funny. But Gravity Falls, it's one of those shows that, like, if you haven't seen it, it probably looks awful. But if you have watched it, it's actually pretty good. It's got really good characters. It's got good acting. The animation isn't amazing. There's like a pilot that was made a few years ago where it uses like, I'm trying to remember how it was. It was like the backgrounds, instead of just being like drawn up on Microsoft Paint or whatever they use, something Adobe something. It was all like the backgrounds were all made to look like they were from like scrapbooks.
Oh,
which I thought was a really cool creative choice, but they didn't go with that choice, which is too bad. But the show takes a lot of inspiration from different horror stuff. There's one episode that is literally just John Carpenter's The Thing. Like, it just is. And it's also one of those shows that, like, the first season was really successful. So then when the second season came out, they were just told they could do whatever they want. So, like, it's kind of a meme with, like, I think it's the first episode of season 2 is, the main character, Dipper, who's, like, this 10-year-old kid. He reads this thing in Latin. It's, like, you can translate it. It's literally like Satan worship stuff.
Corpus Levitus, Diablo Dominus, Mondo Vicia!
And he brings all these zombies out, and they're literally like, there's like actual gore and blood in it. Like, it's all green, but they're like smashing the zombies' heads open, and like bits are flying everywhere, and they're like ripping their arms and like eyes out and stuff. Like, but I mean, you don't really watch it for that stuff. You watch it because it's pretty funny. Like, it takes a little while. The first, like, 5 episodes aren't that funny, but as you get into it more, like, the jokes do improve and stuff. If I had to recommend an episode to start with, it's one from season 2. I think it's called Stan's Scary Stories, and it's a whole bunch of anthology stories, and that's, like, a good introduction to the show. Like, it lets you know what the humor is, what the stories are and stuff. Like, it's fun. And, like, as someone who has lived out in, like, the boonies of, like, the Pacific Northwest, they, like, capture it perfectly. Like, all of those characters, including the, like, spider lady, I swear those are people I've met. Like, just, like, the mannerisms, just, like, these... Oh, it's a great show. And it's got a really good, like, mystery to it as well. Like, as it goes on, they're trying to solve these puzzles. It is one of those shows that was supposed to be 3 seasons, but they just kind of got bored, so they just cut it down to 2. So, like, in some ways that's nice, because there's less you have to watch.
It's that short? I thought it ran for like 4 or 5 years.
I think it's still running today. It's just reruns. They just keep replaying it.
Oh, okay. So it's still, it's like, okay, it's in syndication or whatever.
Yeah.
Maybe not syndication, but it's just
there
like
hasn't been any
reruns,
new episodes since, like, 2012.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
Dang.
So, it's a good one. It was one of those... There was, like, a weird, like, cartoon revolution around that time, like 2010. Like, that's when you had Adventure Time, you had Gravity Falls, you had Steven Universe come out. Like, Invader Zim, which kind of disappeared. Like, those other ones still have a bit of relevance today, I think. But
yeah,
Invader Zim just disappeared.
It came back for a bit.
Yeah, but it wasn't, like, huge. Like, I don't think the reception of that was as good as the new Adventure Time stuff they've been doing.
No, probably not. I mean, it always had more of a cult following to it.
Yeah. I guess that's another one you could throw on there. That was a creepy show.
Oh, yeah, it was.
Yeah, that's, like, the definition of, like, 2010 emo kid phase.
Yeah, that and Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy.
Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy. Oh, that show sucked. But it was kind of funny at times.
It was like, yeah.
The joke that I always liked was there was the one guy called Lord Moldivort or something.
Oh, yeah, the Chamber Pot of Secrets.
Yeah, but every time you say his name, something in the room breaks. So every time they say that, like, something will... Like, it's nothing super smart, but it's just funny.
They had like 2 episodes like that really took the piss out of Harry Potter since that was popular at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was, I don't know. If I rewatched it, like, today, I'd probably hate it, but, like, you know, I don't know, it was a cartoon.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what can you say about it?
All right, that ends my recommendations for...
Everything.
No, we still have a lot to go through.
Oh, yeah, we do.
Well, we're done with movies and TV shows.
Now we're moving on to games, and this is not just video games, it's also board games.
Yep.
So, I'm going to start with board game, because I feel like it.
Okay.
That game is The Thing. And you're like, hey, Connor, you piece of shit, you recommended The Thing last year. No, I didn't, you dickhead. I recommended The Thing Infection at Outpost 31. This year, I'm recommending The Thing, the board game. And I know that's very confusing, but, well...
It's not confusing to me, because I'm really smart.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like this game. It's a hidden role game. It's you know, where a lot of people are humans and then one person is the creature. You know, it's an entirely different game.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm being a little facetious. So this is Pendragon's The Thing. It came out short, like, you know, it's only a couple years old now, so it's newer than Infection at Outpost 31, but it does share a lot of similarities with it. The basic hidden role aspect to it, but it does a lot of things differently and is definitely a bit deeper of a game, if that sounds like it's your thing. You didn't get a chance to play it.
No,
right?
I have not got a chance to play it.
So yeah, instead of the like mission-based structure that Infection at Outpost 31 has, this one you're trying to manage the base while also trying to, you know, open up opportunities for you and the human players to escape, or, you know, you to escape as the thing. And kind of the neat thing about this game compared to Outpost 31 is that if you're outed as like a thing, which can happen early on in the game, you can play as a full-on hostile player to the other players for the rest of the game. You can also... It's also possible for everybody to become infected by the end of the game, which is, it sounds like it's game breaking. Apparently you're supposed to like determine who is the last to be infected and you consider them the loser and everybody else wins. But yeah. So it's definitely got its own beat to it. And like I said, it is a deeper game. Like all the different characters have asymmetry to them, which is kind of nice. They unfortunately do get pigeonholed into having to do certain tasks or else they arouse suspicion. But yeah, it's a fun game. Unfortunately, it was a Kickstarter game, so you don't get all of the movie characters in the core box. You got to hunt down this like miniatures pack that has like the other 4 in it, like Palmer, Fuchs, and Dr. Copper and Childs. So you don't get those 4 guys in the box.
That's lame. Childs is like, he's one of the best characters. Like,
yeah.
If I was gonna buy the base game, like it should have Childs.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know why they did that. Other than like, I don't know, money. Like I missed the Kickstarter on that one, but I did manage to get that pack, fortunately. And I think they're all getting scalped on eBay, but still, the core game's pretty good on its own. You'll get 8 characters, and you can play with up to 8 people, like Outpost 31. Yeah, like compare the 2 games, and if one of them sounds more your speed, then yeah, go with one or the other. Oh, I mean, one other weird thing about the game before I forget, it does have a cooperative mode for 1 to 3 players. I've heard it's not as good because it removes the hidden roll element, and I think it has a bit more RNG to it, but I don't know. Like, I haven't tried it, so...
Yeah.
Just something different. Alright,
so my recommendation is myhouse.wad. Now, this one kind of got memed on by the Doom community a little bit, but this is a Doom mod, and it's one of those ones where it kind of takes some reason... To really enjoy it, you kind of have to do your own research to figure out how to play it and stuff. But the idea of it was, because back in the 90s and early 2000s when Doom modding was super popular, it was really common for people to make just a map of their house, kind of like Sandy did on Suburbs. And usually they were pretty terrible. So the premise of this is that it's supposed to be some guy dug this off his friend's computer and has uploaded it for people to play. And I think on Doomworld, that's literally what he just said. He just posted it and said, oh yeah, I found this on my friend's computer. He died last year. It's his house. But the way it works is it starts out as just like a regular just Doom map. And then you have the option to leave. But if you go back and you go around to the back of the house, then the map transforms into like more of a modern Doom map. Like it has slopes and stuff and multiple levels. If this doesn't mean anything to you, that's just because you're not into Doom modding. But it transforms it into like a more in-depth layout. And I don't know, I think it's probably not the scariest Doom WAD I've played, but it's probably the most interesting, like just in the way it's done. Like it's got some really creative stuff. It's kind of annoying because there's a lot of like meandering around and searching for stuff, but there's like a mirror that you can jump into that mirrors everything. The music's played backwards, the sound effects are backwards, and you can even like go and play the second level of Doom 2 Underhalls. You can play it except for everything's reversed, so you have to go to the other side of the map first and stuff. Like it's pretty creative. It's only one level like that. There's a part where you have to fight Shrek in a graveyard, and it's actually terrifying.
I mean, it goes without saying. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would expect that at this point.
Yeah, it's a very WTF WAD, and it's very inspired by Liminal Spaces, the Liminal Space Reddit. Like, I don't know if you've seen that picture of that Shell gas station that's like in the middle of nowhere, Iowa or something, and the S is blocked out, so it just says hell. Like, you get to go to that gas station, and it spawns in like 100 enemies, I swear. So if you go there, make sure to get the rocket launcher.
This guy's got a really big-ass house.
Yeah. Yeah. It's fun. It's dreamlike, which I appreciate.
Oh yeah, that's different.
There's a dog that you can kill, but you want to keep it alive, and that adds a whole nother level of fun to it, trying to navigate one of the levels.
Is it the Wolfenstein dog?
Yeah, it's the Wolfenstein dog.
Yeah.
But it's a nice Wolfenstein dog.
Okay.
The thing is that there's a Cerberus from Blood that's like hunting you on that map. and if you hurt Cerberus, then it hurts your little doggy buddy. So it's like you can kill the monster, but then you're gonna kill your dog friend, and that is just depressing. So it's pretty fun. It's got some good sound design and stuff. If you're bored and you want something that's weird, I think it's a good one to check out.
That's great. Yeah, I've been meaning to look into that one. I see like people like I remember people talking about it earlier this year. It's relatively new, right?
Yeah, I think it came out this year.
Yeah. Curious to see if that like wins a CAC award or something. I don't know when those come out. All right. So before I recommend the next thing or talk about the next thing I'm going to, I just want to put it out there that no, this game is not related to the Tommy Wiseau film of the same name. Or, well, this is the subtitle to it, but you know what I'm talking about. And I almost recommended this last year, but Robbie interrupted it with a quote from The Room, unfortunately, and I guess that's been lost to time where I hallucinated it because I couldn't find it in any of our past videos.
If you hallucinated it, I hallucinated it too.
Okay. So
I'll have to look for it.
It might have gotten removed from the audio because, I don't know, sometimes we cut up our videos a bit. But anyway, this game is Silent Hill 4: The Room.
I'm not going to say it.
Okay, good. Good. Okay. So, where do I even begin with this one? This one is the black sheep of the first 4 games, like the quote-unquote good Silent Hill games. Mm-hmm. A lot of people would not consider this one to be part of the good Silent Hill games, but they are wrong. This one is not worth skipping at all, and it's actually probably one of the easiest ones to actually get a hold of nowadays. But anyway, the basic premise of this game is that it's a side story. And, you know, it kind of, like, wraps up some loose ends from the other games, or, like, you get to visit locations mentioned in them and encounter some characters that are, like, you know, talked about but not actually seen. But the basic premise of this game is that you are a guy named... I forget if it's Henry in this one. Harry's the guy in the first game. Henry, who has been trapped in his apartment room for like several days now, keeps having the same weird nightmare, and eventually he finds like a weird hole in his bathroom, and it leads into a weird like other world. And basically the premise of the game is that he encounters a spectral serial killer by the name of Walter Sutherland, who is trying to perform some weird ritual. And basically, you got to go through a bunch of environments encountering people that Walter is trying to kill and try to save them. Keyword try.
Yeah.
And while battling weird monsters, solving puzzles. Yeah, this is a freaky game. This is the first Silent Hill game I played. It's the least consistent between the other 3 because it like doesn't have any tank controls and completely redoes the combat system. Some people think the combat's better. I kind of disagree because I liked how it was before, but I don't know. It takes some getting used to, especially with the weird dynamic camera stuff and having the non-tank controls. It can be kind of weird. But anyway, it's still a phenomenal game. It will mess your dreams up. Sound design is awesome. The soundtrack is awesome. It has probably, I would say it's probably got the best soundtrack out of any of the games. You want to disagree with me? Okay. Tell me where you live and I will come to your house and say, no, you are wrong. But yeah, like check out the soundtrack. Like especially look at the cover art because it looks like, oh man. Like, I've shown this to you before, Robbie. It looks like someone commissioned either, like, the guy they get to do all the Slayer album artworks or, like, Zadislav Beksinski to, like, do an old Japanese woodcut. It's pretty freaky looking. You wouldn't even know it was related to the game. Well, actually, you probably would if you've played the game, but it's weird. And the songs on it are all good. There are a couple that have, like, lyrics to them. In which you think might be kind of cringe, but they're all actually like not that bad. Like they're bangers. Like there's this one called actually I'll mention a couple of them now. We're not in albums yet, but I don't know. I don't want to go back to this, to this later. But so yeah, there's one called Cradle of Forest, which it almost sounds like something out of The Wicker Man. It's almost like a weird like folk horror type song with the lyrics, which Silent Hill isn't that at all. It's like psychological horror, but yeah, it's weird. But I don't know. It was kind of cool that they got Nick Cave to do the vocals for that song, but it's just kind of unfortunate he drank all that cough syrup before he recorded it. Like it's a real shame. Like he just sounds like he's having the worst day of his life. You'll know what I'm talking about if you listen to it. And then the other song is Room of Angel, which is probably what Despair sounds like.
Oh, jeez.
This is like, yeah, like when that popped up in the trailer, which you should also look up the trailer / intro movie, because that thing's creepy too. Like, it's like, what the hell even is this? Like, that actually got me intrigued to check out the game. It's like I gotta get to the depths of this human misery. Even if it's janky and kind of, probably most of it got lost in translation with the weird voice acting. But anyway, I gotta do it. We're going deeper. But yeah, it's a good game. And like I said, check out the OST, check out the intro movie, which is like a spirit world snuff film is the best way to describe how it looks. Like a lot of the Silent Hill intro like movies don't really show monsters or like aren't really that scary at all, but this one kind of just says, screw it. This is the fourth game. Welcome to hell.
Yeah. You know what this is. You know.
Yeah. I'm going to show it to you after we do this.
All right. I'm excited.
But anyway, yeah, check that out. You can get it on Good Old Games. It's like one of the only PC, it's like the only way to play like the PC version of the game now. Because it did come out on PC back in the day, and I think the second and third did as well, but those aren't on Steam, which is kind of a shame. They aren't on Good Old Games either, but the fourth one is. And I think it has controller support. Play it with a controller. Don't play it with
What's the
keyboard.
one where the cover is like a little girl on a swing and she's like been like hit with a blizzard? Like
That's Shattered Memories.
Yeah, that's the one I hate the most because when I was in 8th grade, there was like commercials for it all over the internet, and I was like, "This looks so dumb."
It's a kind of like a remake of the first game.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, now I don't want to play the first game.
First game's good. I don't know about the remake of it.
Yeah.
Shattered Memories. I just know it like they removed combat from it, which is
This was back when I thought Left 4 Dead was Left Dead 4. I was like, dang, they already made a fourth one?
It's back when I didn't buy Left 4 Dead 2 because it was flipping me off British style.
All right, on the topic of PS1 horror, though, my recommendation, this is one I've actually talked about earlier on one of our podcasts, but it's called The Tartarus Key. Like,
Yeah.
if you don't like puzzle games, this one might not be for you. It's not like an absolute dickhead when it comes to the puzzles. This isn't like a 90s point-and-click game. But some of these puzzles are pretty puzzling. That was a sentence. But, again, the atmosphere is, like, perfect. They nail the PS1 look. I know a lot of people hate it when they put, like, CRT monitors on games, like CRT filters on games.
Yeah.
This one looks perfect with it. Like, it's got the janky models. The environments are colorful, but still creepy.
The weird, like, morphing that the character models do when they move.
Yeah, it's just...
It looks like a cross between Quake 1 and, like, the original Silent Hill.
Yeah.
Like, that's definitely what it was going for, Silent Hill 1, but, yeah, it nails it. I haven't played the full game, I just played the demo.
Yeah, I haven't beaten it either.
No, I just played the demo, I don't own it.
Yeah, I do own it. It's good. I like it. The dialogue is also... I guess I have to say good in quotation marks. It's very faithful to PS1 games, and it's kind of refreshing to see like cheesy dialogue in a game. Like
I didn't know that's what it was going for. It kind of irritated me because like I didn't know what they were doing. But yeah, it's not fully voiced, right, in the full game?
No.
Okay.
This is another one where you have to save people. And if you're bad at the game like me, then most of the people you try to save end up getting killed.
Oh.
And from what I understand, the more people you save, when you save someone, it kind of helps you. It makes the rest of the game easier or something like that. Again, I only saved one person, so
Yeah.
some of them deserved it. Most of them was just me being bad at the game.
So it's non-linear in the aspect that you could save people.
Yeah.
Okay. I want to go back and like say for Silent Hill 4 that like I was joking, you can't actually save most of the people you encounter, but I don't know, it's more linear in that respect.
Yeah. The other thing,
don't mean to spoil it, but that's just how it is. I don't want to get anyone's expectations too high.
the other thing I like about the Tartarus Key, and I could be wrong about this, but the game doesn't actually have anything supernatural in it. The premise of it, this isn't really a spoiler, but the premise is that there's this rich society. I think they're called the Tartarus Key Society. Maybe they're just called the Tartarus Society, but it's a society full of rich millionaires that trap people in these fake mansions that are just full of death traps, and they just watch you for sport. Like, every room has a little security camera in it that's following you, you know? So it's kind of like Saw, but instead of it being an old dude, it's like a bunch of millionaires. Which is just kind of a cool, fun, creepy premise, you know?
Yeah.
So, definitely check it out. If the ending sucks, I'm sorry I haven't beaten it yet. I think I'm almost finished, but I could be wrong. Who knows?
I wonder if it has a dog ending.
Oh, I hope so. I'm not getting it if it does, but I hope so.
Yeah. Okay. So you don't have any more games, right?
No, I have one more game.
Okay. Well, I don't have any more either.
Oh, well...
Well, I mean, I don't have any more.
Technically, I have two more games. I'll do this quick, though. Frogger 2 came out in 2000, I want to say. Maybe it was 2001. It might have been 1999. Somewhere in there.
It's on an old-ass computer that's beige looking.
Yeah. I think it's shareware now, so you can download it. The only problem is that if you download it online, you won't have the soundtrack, because the soundtrack's played through the CD. But they have two... Well, technically they have three, but they have two Halloween-themed levels. Just phenomenal. Like, just... They nail it. There's pumpkins everywhere. There's like a giant cauldron full of like stew you have to get across. Just awesome. So much fun. Scared the heck out of me as a little kid. Little kid, like kindergarten.
Right.
Yeah, so that's an easy recommend. The other one I want to do is Resident Evil 4. I know that every year we recommend something Resident Evil. I finally played the game.
I did too.
I like it a lot. If I had to recommend a certain section, the beginning, because that's like when you're out in the woods and it's all fall-like. I know there's the remake. I kind of think the remake looks bad. Like, I know everyone's saying that it isn't, but I don't know. I think they just ruined the environment and the atmosphere in the new one. And maybe it has a new one that I can appreciate, but like everything's like all like pink and purple and stuff and sunset and dark blue. No, that's not what Resident Evil 4 is about. It's about the color brown.
Yeah, brown, tan.
Yeah.
It's like off whitish beige.
Do you know why? Because when you're out in the woods and it's fall, everything is brown. I know, because I've been there.
Yes. Yeah, we've had a better likelihood of going to Spain than any of the Japanese developers for the game did.
That is a conversation for another time. But
I guess just to kind of add to what you were saying, I had been sleeping on that game forever. I finally played it, and yeah, it's actually very fun. It does have some aspects to it that are, unfortunate because they're, of its time, like not being able to move and shoot, and not being able to swap weapons unless you open your inventory, which I don't know. Like and then like it can kind of be like dickish in a lot of ways. I don't know. We'll probably talk more about this at the end of the year, but yeah, like it actually surprised me. Like there's a death scene in it that like I did not see in the game because
neither did I was good.
I'm good too. I was good at that part, but yeah, it's like where the what they're called, like Novistadors. They're like the bugs when you first encounter them in the castle sewer. The castle part's cool too.
Yeah, the
castle part's cool.
All three parts. Yeah. If you guys don't know, the first third of the game
is like a village.
Yeah, like a European village. For some reason, it's still like 1800s. For some reason.
Yeah.
Then the next part is a castle. For some reason, it's even before.
It's like
1800s,
1600s at the latest.
1600s. Then the last one, I'm still not sure what it is. It's some island.
It's like a mercenary island.
It's like half prison, half laboratory, half military base.
Yeah.
but very explosive ending, very cool.
Yeah. But anyway, so in the second part, you're going down in like the sewers of the castle, and there's these like bugs. Their death, like if they get you with like their acid, like it melts your face off.
Yeah,
it's
like,
creepy.
it's
It's
graphic,
like, where did that come from? Yeah. It's more graphic than the death in the remake.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and also if you, like, spoiler alert, if you're playing like the North American or European version, if the chainsaw guy kills you or the chainsaw sisters, they lop your head off.
Yeah, that threw me off the first time that happened.
Yeah, that's very infamous. Like in Japan, they censored the shit out of that.
That's funny because it's a Japanese game.
Yeah, it's like that's why the deaths in Resident Evil 5 all look stupid.
Yeah.
So I think that one has chainsaw guys as well. They try to like hide it in a weird way. But yeah, it's a good game. Maybe not one that I would recommend entirely for Halloween, but if you want...
Oh, I would recommend this one 24/7.
Okay, yeah, maybe.
What I like about it is how many, like... Because the first few Resident Evil games have a lot of, like, homages to, like... Mostly, like, the Romero zombie movies, but kind of just the old horror movies. This one takes it to, like, the next level. There's stuff from The Thing. There's stuff from The Wicker Man. There's stuff from, like... just tons of references to stuff. Like, if you like horror movies, which if you listen to this podcast, you probably do.
Yeah.
Lots of goodies in there for you.
And it's like a horror game mixed with like a spy game.
Yeah, like there's
like
also a little bit of Indiana Jones thrown in there.
Yeah. It's got a lot of like different things that kind of weirdly mixed well together.
And the whole time Leon is saying some of the stupidest one-liners ever, and I love it.
Yeah.
He's just like, "No thanks, bro." There's a video on YouTube that's just called Leon saying stupid shit for like 5 minutes straight. You should all look it up.
Oh, jeez. Yeah. Okay, and then I guess kind of I want to call this an honorable mention because it has not hit retail yet, but the Resident Evil board game, which you have played, I have not. It's been sitting.
Yeah, I was gonna save that for next year.
Yeah, but yeah, it's turned out pretty good. It's getting good reviews on Board Game Geek, surprisingly. But yeah, it seems to be an improvement over the past two games.
I like it. I need to play it again.
Yeah, it'll be coming to retail by the end of the year, I think. Or maybe soon, I forget. They keep emailing me about it, and I keep ignoring it because I already got it.
Yeah.
Just be on the lookout for it. Anyway, so let's move on to books, comics, and stories. So I'll kind of start out with this one. We've definitely talked about the movie before. Well, we talked about it in this podcast already, The Thing, but I finally went back and read the short story that it is based on. Who Goes There by John W. Campbell. So, kind of the weird thing about this is that it was like a science fiction story. I mean, it kind of makes sense because, The Thing is still technically like a sci-fi horror film. But this one really goes hard in the paint to try to, like, give some scientific explanations to what they're doing down in Antarctica, even with some of the other stuff. So, it is definitely a very dense story. It's very long for a short story, but you could probably still knock it out in like a day or two. Has way more characters in it than the movie did.
It has 100 people at the station, right?
It's like 38 at the start.
38, yeah.
So yeah, I know people say that John Carpenter's The Thing is a much more faithful adaptation, and I would say it's about maybe 50% of the original, maybe even less than that of the
what
original.
I heard is
story.
that it's very faithful, but also post-Vietnam. So instead of having
the
leader of the place be the strong, noble hero, he's a clown in the 80s movie.
Yeah, that is true. This came out in 1938, 1939, so it was even pre-World War II.
Yeah.
So it's yeah, it's a pretty decent story, and even though kind of going back to Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, even though I had seen the movie The Thing, reading the story, it's I got midway into it and had to go to bed because it was too late, and it's I was having weird dreams about it. It was freaking me out. It's oh no, it's in the room with me. It's it can still have that effect on you. It's not it doesn't lean into the horror aspect as much, but there is a little bit of intrigue still, despite it being a short story, and it's a pretty good one.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah. some of the character descriptions, like, you couldn't get away with nowadays without there being a lot of subtext to them. It's like the way characters are described. It's like, oh, Norris was small and wiry. It's like, oh, friggin' Conant, he was a 6'5" of granite. Oh, friggin' McCready, he was a man of bronze. He banged your mom. Hell, he even banged my mom. I wouldn't give a shit. That guy's a Chad. It's stuff like that. But you can laugh about it now.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Oh yeah, it's a good story. I think it's available. It's in the public domain now. I found it in this really random like collection of sci-fi stories called the Science Fiction Honor Roll, which cover art to it, you know, if you're like me, is very terrifying because it's got, well, it's just shitty cover art. It's got a lot of cubes on it that don't obey the laws of perspective, and that just freaks me out, man. And it's got like this weird astronaut guy with angel's wings for some reason. I don't know.
Sci-fi.
And the book smells bad because it's like 50 years old. But yeah, you can probably find it online. I'll put the link in the comments down below if I can find it. All right.
So my recommendation for a book is actually an X-Men comic, which again isn't the most Halloween thing, but just hear me out, okay? So I've been slowly making my way through the whole Phoenix saga. I'm finally at like the Dark Phoenix part. So the arc I'm going to tell you about, because that's like freaking like 40 comic books right there. So this is called the Proteus Saga. It consists of 3 different comics that are composed together. I can't quite remember which ones they are. 100 and something. But the premise of it is there's this new X-Men villain called Proteus, and he's the daughter of Mariah McTaggart, if you know who that is. And what his mutant ability is basically that he can, like, possess people. Like, he doesn't have, like, a true, like, physical form. Well, I guess he kind of does because you see it for a little bit. It's like a weird swamp man. But he possesses people, but he can only stay inside a human body for so long because he'll deteriorate it. So, it's, again, we're going to have to make a drinking game about every time we talk about John Carpenter's The Thing in this. It's kind of like The Thing because he can possess people and he can, when he possesses people...
Imitate them.
Yeah. He gets, like, their memories and stuff, so he can pretend to be people, but only for so long because then their flesh starts falling off and stuff.
Oh.
And, like, I'm slowly learning that these X-Men comics aren't as aimed at children as I was expecting they were. There's a very important plot point in the Dark Phoenix saga about Jean Grey having a telekinetic connection to Cyclops so that he can feel her orgasm when they have sex. I'm not making this up. This is some weirdo stuff. But that's
okay.
This that hasn't happened yet, okay? So don't worry. But like the art is pretty good. Like the people watching like their skin melt and stuff, like it's pretty creepy. Like it's pretty gross. It's as close as you can get to body horror in that form of art style.
Do you know who did the art for it?
I should, because I read his name every time I start an issue, but I can't say. But he's a very famous one. It's your classic like 70s comic book art style.
Okay.
And like the environments they go to is pretty creepy. Like this whole one takes place in Scotland. So there's lots of castles, lots of rain and stuff like that. So it's... Oh yeah, and I forgot, he also has the ability to warp reality, which just means that like he can just acid trip stuff out. So there's some pretty crazy sequences with that, pretty psychedelic. So it's pretty fun, I think. It's exciting. You've got, all of the X-Men there. So it's a good one. And that's my recommendation. If you had to read one superhero comic this Halloween season, that probably isn't actually the best choice. But it is one that I read recently that stuck out to me.
Yeah.
What really is important is that they will never put that character in an X-Men movie, because that would be awesome.
Or Ryan Reynolds put him in Deadpool and it just wouldn't be the same.
Yeah, he would just like get killed by like walking in front of a car or something.
Yeah.
So yeah, creepy superhero villain.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So next two stories I'm going to recommend, I'm not really going to explain or anything, but are from M.R. James, who I think I talked about at decent length last year. He's or at our year-end podcast review. He's a guy that is an old English guy. Well, he's not alive anymore. He's from like the turn of the century, who is very, very well known for writing like ghost stories, like classic style ghost stories. The two stories I'm going to recommend this from him are Lost Hearts and The Mezzotint. I've not read that many of his works, but those two kind of like stuck in my mind. Oh man, it's been forever since I've read Lost Hearts, but it's a good one. I'll recommend that one. I think that might be his best that I've read so far. Mezzotint's pretty cool because usually his stories involve some sort of like MacGuffin or like object of like antiquarian interest, and this one involves a mezzotint, which is like an etching that's like plays out a really creepy story on it. It's like weird. Yeah. I think there was an adaptation of it with starring Rory Kinnear. The guy who plays Tanner in the James Bond films, the more recent ones. It's like, oh, weird. I didn't know he had any leading roles. Yeah. So those two I definitely recommend. He's got some other ones too, but I don't know. Might have to wait till next year to recommend those. As is usual, I usually recommend some H.P. Lovecraft. This year, I'm recommending Dagon, which is kind of like a prototype for Call of Cthulhu.
Yeah,
it's way shorter.
I think Dagon is the one you should start
Dagon.
with. If you're interested in H.P. Lovecraft, I think that's the perfect one to start with.
Yeah, or History of the Necronomicon, because it's only like one page. But no, yeah, Dagon's pretty cool.
There's actually a really good animated short film that somebody made based off of it, where I think the audio from it is just like from like an audio book, but they have like not like true animation, but kind of like a really well-made PowerPoint, I guess. But they drew out the whole thing, and it's pretty cool.
Animatic, I forget what that's
called.
called.
Animatic, that'd be the way to call it. There's a really good animatic online you can watch.
Yeah. But anyway, other than that, I'm also going to recommend In the Vault, which is about a guy who gets trapped in a like a burial vault or whatever.
That's probably the most terrifying thing we've said all day.
Yeah. Surprisingly, it's a very like typical like horror story for Lovecraft. It's like it's one of the not all of his stories are like, cosmic horror. Mm-hmm. Because he would have gone crazy if you wrote all that. Yeah. Wrote that 100% of the time. But yeah, like it's a much more typical story. And like his other stories, you could probably find online for free. I will post a link down below. All right. Continuing our usual trend of me recommending stuff that, year to year. Junji Ito. Can't have Halloween without Junji Ito now. I recently checked out his Deserter story collection from Viz Media, which includes a bunch of his earlier works. And I expected most of them to be bad. A couple of them are. Like, they're probably the worst. They're probably even worse than the ones that we talked about in our Worst of Junji Ito book. But there are also some fairly damn good ones in there, too. Speaking of H.P. Lovecraft, there's one called The Reanimator Sword, which deals with like a guy who can like basically reanimate people. It's pretty cool. I don't want to talk about it anymore without spoiling it because it's kind of short. Unendurable Labyrinth. It's about these girls that go out into the mountains. They come across these monks. I forget what they're called. Like, they got some special name, but they're the ones that do that like meditation thing where they turn into mummies.
Oh, that thing's so cool. Yeah. I mean, it's not. You shouldn't do it, but
so yeah, it involves that and Labyrinth that they have. It's a pretty creepy story, and I didn't realize that was one of his earlier ones, but it's good.
Doesn't he have an anime coming out soon?
I don't know anymore.
Neither do I. It was supposed to come out this October, but like...
He's talking about Uzumaki for all those of you who have forgotten already.
Yeah, for those who are the true fans that have been with us since the beginning.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, we haven't done our Volume 3 review of
Well,
that
why
yet.
would we? I mean,
Yeah, like, you got a good point.
Yeah.
It's like, as soon as he announces that, we're doing Volume 3.
Yeah.
And we're also probably doing another Worst of Junji Ito.
Yeah.
Because, like, those are fun to do. But anyway, the last story is probably... I would say it's the best one in that frickin' collection. It's called Village of the Siren. If I had to compare it to his other works, it'd be like his other, like, apocalypse type stories. You know, friggin' Hanging Blimp, Hellstar Remina, even Uzumaki to an extent, Gyo. What's another one? Like, basically the ones where things are, like, go from 2 minutes to Fubar to 2 minutes past Fubar.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is one of those stories. And it's like surprisingly dark in parts. Like, I was surprised. It's got dead babies in it.
Oh boy.
That's part of the darkness.
Yeah, that's pretty dark.
Yeah. But it also has some, like, weird, like, Western influences, too.
When you say Western, you mean like
Like
the West or like
the
Cowboys?
West, not cowboys.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And I also don't know if it partially inspired Silent Hill at all, because one of the things about Silent Hill when you're going between the like the other world and then the real world, or like what is supposed to be the real world, there's like a storm siren that plays, and there's like this big ass siren that plays into the the central plot point. I mean, obviously it's called Village of the Siren.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't there be a siren in there? Like, is there a room in the room? I don't know. The Tommy Wiseau film.
Yeah, actually, I don't know.
I don't know which
I
room
still
they're
have no
talking
idea why
about.
it's called that. Like,
It's just like the Lord of the Rings, the Twin Towers. Which Twin Towers are they talking about?
Yeah.
There are no Twin Towers in that movie.
I think it's the two that are at the castle at Rohan, the one where the flag flies off. I think that's what it's talking about.
Okay.
Which is weird because I don't remember that in the book.
I don't remember either. But it's been forever since I've read that book.
Yeah.
But anyway, what was I saying? Okay, yeah. Village of the Siren. It's awesome. Check it out. Might have to do a review of like all of his like apocalypse stories. Like, that's just my name for him. But he has a lot of them that are that way.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy. Okay. So let's go into albums and music. Just sort of a brief mention to start us out, because I know Robbie doesn't really have much. But I mentioned this song kind of in passing last year, Ghost's Dance Macabre. And really the only reason I'm recommending it is not to like listen to really, but because one of the I think it's like one or two of the auto-generated like YouTube versions, instead of having the album's cover art, like from Prequel, which is the name of the album it's come from, it has like this like generic stock art that says spooky scary skeletons, and it has like a skull on it.
That's funny.
It is. Like, there's 2 or 3 of them like that.
Have you noticed, I don't know how new this is, but like a lot of times if you buy music off iTunes now, like in the app, the cover art will start moving. They'll have like little GIFs.
No,
The cover art.
that's
Yeah,
creepy.
they'll have cover art where it'll move around and stuff. It's cool.
Yeah.
Someone should do one that has a jump scare. Like, you're just looking at it and you're like, oh, cool, Beethoven. And then it's the girl from The Exorcist just for a second.
Okay. So what was yours that you wanted to recommend?
Oh, so the song I want to recommend is called Creature by the Tijuana Panthers. Now, the Tijuana Panthers are a band that has one good song, which is too bad. I want to call them indie, but it's so hard to tell what truly is indie. But the genre of music I would describe it as is kind of like 60s throwback.
Oh.
It sounds like a song from the 60s, and I mean that in a good way, but it's about being the creature from the Black Lagoon.
Oh.
So, like, a cool monster premise, but also it's just like a bop. And I think it goes back to Scooby-Doo. I don't know, I always associate, like, the 60s, early 70s with Halloween for some reason. I just think it was a creepy time to be alive, what can I say? So that's my song recommendation.
Okay. Yep. I kind of got a couple of them. So one of them is like the follow-up album to the Headless Cross from Black Sabbath, which I recommended 2 years ago. It's called, and this album's, I'm not recommending the full album, which is called Tear, because it's kind of like what I would call it's the Quake 1 of Black Sabbath albums. It's got a lot of weird, like, conflicting
choices you wouldn't expect.
Well, no, it's got like a lot of conflicting inspirations. Like it's not very consistent in that manner. Like,
Gotcha.
where Headless Cross, I could recommend that entire album for Halloween, for October, for even November. This one, not so much, because I mean the name of it. It's like, okay, Norse mythology. There are only 3 songs out of the 9 that are related to Norse mythology. You're listening to the first 4, and it's like, okay, the first song, Anno Mundi. Okay. And the second one, it's a Lawmaker. Third one is Jerusalem. Fourth, Sabbath Stones. Okay, this is a little New Testament, or Old Testament, I mean. A little Judeo-Christian. So I guess, why do they call it Tyr? But anyway. Yeah, it's still a good album. It's just not as good as, like, other ones because it's not thematically consistent. But Headless Cross, because it's not as thematically consistent. But I would still recommend Anno Mundi from it. That is the first track. It has it's more of an autumnal song than it is like a Halloween one. Like it's not really like scary, but it evokes good atmosphere of a change in the season. Let's say.
Very cool.
Yeah. There's also a hilarious the single from the album. There's also this one called it's called "Feels Good to Me," and it's like a ballad, and it's like the most like un-Black Sabbath sounding song you'll ever listen to, but it's still really freaking good. And it's funny. It's got this really corny music video to it.
That's funny.
Yeah, it's like I don't know. Keep it in your back pocket in case you have to serenade any goth girls. I don't know.
Yeah.
If you can find any that aren't horrendously overweight.
Ouch.
I'm kidding. No, actually, Dance Macabre would be better for that. Better song. Anyway, my last recommendation, again, it is twofold because you cannot listen to this song without watching the awesome frickin' music video to it. It is Candlemass's Bewitched.
Oh, that is a good one.
Oh, you've seen it?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
I don't know if I've seen the music video. I know I've listened to the song, though.
yeah, the song is awesome. It is definitely like a doom metal, so it's like very early Black Sabbath inspired. But the music video, it's freaking hilarious. It's what you would expect from like a late 80s music video. Obviously shot on not even like a VHS thing. It's like probably even cheaper than that. So it's in like 4:3 aspect ratio. It's got some very bad like fragmenting on or like artifacting or whatever you call it, like, the static stuff. Yeah, it's a blast. Like it's overacted as hell, but it's great. You got a guy playing like the most impossible guitar solo ever. You'll understand what I mean if you actually pay attention to what he's doing or like look at him.
Yeah.
And like fun fact, I also think it has what's his name? The lead singer to the Norwegian black metal band Dead before he gave himself a Kurt Cobain brow lift.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. That was a bad joke. But but I think he's in it. But yeah, like it's full of a bunch of fans of like the band. They're kind of like, so it's kind of cool in that respect. Like they definitely love their fans. Even though I think that band's gone through a really big like lineup change. Like it's crazy. Maybe I'm thinking about diving into them more. Maybe we'll talk about them more at the end of the year. But yeah, look up Bewitched.
Yeah, I'll give another recommendation. I think I might have recommended this in the past, but I don't know. The music video for Thriller is pretty good. Like that's a good Halloween one. Have you seen it?
I don't think I have.
Yeah, so Thriller, I think it was. Some people claim it was the first music video. I have no idea how truthful that is, but it's not really scary. But what it does do well is it's got a really cool scene in a graveyard with a bunch of zombies. And the zombie makeup is really good. The one they have for Michael Jackson isn't that good because, well, it's Michael Jackson. You still have to make it clearly him. But it's a fun little music video. It's got a werewolf. It's got some really good zombies. And yes, the zombies do dance, but the scene of them all crawling out of the gravestones, there's like smoke machines, and you have Vincent Price's monologue. It's pretty good.
How long is that? Isn't it like
it's long. It's
very,
like,
very long?
Yeah. It's longer than the actual song. There's like a lot of stuff in there, and then I think it plays the song again during the credits. But I mean, I'm not a huge Michael Jackson fan, but I do like Thriller because I like Halloween and I like the zombies in that music video.
Yeah. have you recommended that before? I don't think you have. And that's
Okay.
seems like a very basic one.
Yeah, yeah.
So if you have, I mean, I don't know.
I remember when we first started these, there was a lot of basic, obvious ones that I just didn't want to do just because they were too obvious.
Yeah. that
And
might have
now
been
I'm
it.
too scared to say those ones because I think I've already said them. So it's kind of a weird
Yeah.
thing.
Just fortunately, I go back through and review and try to make sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's why the room thing was freaking me out. It's I know I just talked about it. And
Yeah,
wanted
I
to
know
try
we made
to,
that joke because
almost
I
did.
remember making it.
It's okay, nope, wait until next year. And
I think I remember I made the joke and then I felt bad afterwards because you got so mad.
part of that was fake mad, but I literally did not recommend it.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, but that's fun. It's
Yeah.
funny. All right, so yeah, those are all of our recommendations for the year, but we're not done yet.
No, we're done.
No, we're not.
Oh, we're not?
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Okay, so what we usually do is we ask you, what would you like us to check out for our Halloween special this
Yep.
year?
And if none of you say anything, we're going to watch Quake.
Watch Quake.
Yeah, we're going to watch Quake.
Okay.
I'll tell you about it later.
Okay. But yeah, so just some ground rules.
For the record, I do not want to watch Quake. I would rather do something else.
Okay. So just some ground rules. Kind of make it something sort of concise, not a whole. Don't recommend a whole TV series.
Yeah.
Just maybe an individual episode. Movies usually work pretty good. Mm-hmm. Movies, even music videos or soundtracks.
Games, anything.
Yep. And also, do not recommend to us anything illegal or the usual Serbian film. Or,
Yeah.
Or Salo or. Well, I don't know. I don't remember what Greg recommended to us that one time.
Yeah, nothing illegal.
Yeah, nothing illegal. Or just obviously meant to be a joke.
Mm-hmm.
Or something that we can't access as easily.
Yeah, so just leave your recommendations. It's always good to see what people like for the holidays.
And, Greg recommended us a Doom map last year. We played it.
It was really good.
Yeah, we talked about it. So, yeah. So, don't be afraid to think outside of the box.
Yep.
All right. So, that was me.
And that was me as well. Happy holidays. Happy Halloween. Sorry, I shouldn't get rid of Christian holidays like Halloween. The war on Halloween has just gone too far. All right, happy Halloween, everybody. Enjoy it. Be safe. Frick, I don't care. You can do whatever you want.
Yeah. Just don't do drugs.
Yeah, just don't affect me, okay?
Or
Negatively.
that too.
You can TP my house. I won't care about that, but just don't do it if it's raining.